I wanted to start the show with the corrigendum section, and I begin with my apology for mispronouncing spurious so many times in the past few episodes. I know a lot of people can get really upset and hurt when somebody mispronounces a word even once, but I mispronounced the word literally hundreds of times in episode 17 alone. So I wanted to apologize to that kind of person who gets really angry when they hear others mispronounce words. This constant mispronunciation of mine of the word spurious is merely an emblem of the more serious and fundamental failures that have set my life on certain poorly mapped tributaries of courses rather than the courses themselves. I don't mispronounce the word curious, so I should know how to pronounce the word it rhymes with. However, I do pronounce the word often and soften in a rhyming manner, so most of the people who I have hurt by pronouncing spurious as spurious can rest easy that at least I'm not one of those bigots who says off 10, although they can't rest easy that I consider pronunciation secondary to comprehensibility, which prioritization is becoming gauche. I also want to apologize on behalf of those people who send me those long, luxurious Buddhist and Jain readings. I want to apologize for them because they're not going to do it themselves, for exposing that stuff to everybody. I guess I'm apologizing mainly to the sponsors who, they tell me to cut it out because it makes, the Nielsen monitors are totally saying that my broadcast loses about 99% of the audience, while they tune out. You get involved in a lot of Buddhist epistemology and Jain hell and stuff, and people start thinking woo, here he goes again. So I want to apologize to my sponsors and to those people who I hurt by allowing myself to read those bad things, all those things that Stefan Aneker, Herman Jacobi, Ganganatha Jha, et al. Send me, even though it is a policy that I signed in my contract with my sponsors like Healthy Boy, that I have to read every letter I get on the air as I get them. So I'm in a little bit of a bind, but I do apologize. Whoops. Flight of the 50 Fancies is brought to you by Tom Idiot Autos, and it says, he gave me a paper that says, "Hi, I'm Tom Idiot and I suck. I own Tom Idiot Autos, and when I'm done work I go home and watch TV on my big screen and eat a brat or two for dinner and go to the doctor to see if I'm still okay. In the morning, I go to work and people get loans to buy autos from me while I think about my big screen and my lawn instead of more important things like Bigfoot and the kinds of people who make fun of people like me find important, like not doing the dishes and still living with their parents when they're 19 years old. So come on down to Tom Idiot Autos today for your auto." And so that's what it says. That was one of those off-the-rails ads that I didn't read beforehand deal. You are listening to Flight of the 50 Fancies. My guest, Theodore Roosevelt, is the manager of a really cool movie theater, and I'm really excited to talk about what kind of things, kind of crazy stuff he has coming up. Welcome to the program, Theodore. Well, it's pretty much an honor to be here because we have a lot of really, for example, the last couple of weeks we've been totally just playing all of these movies by my favorite Bulgarian director named Nikola Korobov, and we played movies of his that spanned 1956 to 1999. For example, Dimitrovgradski, Malkata, Teuton, 1962. And then we have Vula, Svoboda ili Smart, Gnevno Patuvane, Ivan Kondarev, Yulia Vrevskaya, Asne Zhevaya Eden Zhevat, that kind of movies like that, which are pretty much the coolest movies in the universe, starting with Dimitrovgradski 1956, which should have won the Cannes Film Festival, but I don't want to get into all of that. It's just pretty much like a total waste of time for them not to have chosen that film, and we've just been playing films and movies like that for the past few weeks, and like really cool people come by, and they're the kind of people who are like, oh, Nikola Korobov, that's interesting. They're not like that. They've not only have they all heard of him, they all are like pissed that there hasn't been Nikola Korobov total film festival ever. This is the first one, and it's so cool. So come on by. Actually, it's over, so you can't. Sorry, man. But thanks for having me on your show. Wait, sorry, I just have a quick letter I have to read. This one says, hold on. So this one says, Flight of the Fancies suffers from a lack of diversity. All humans know what it's like, and this is from F. Flight of the Fancies suffers from lack of diversity. All humans know what it's like to be a straight white dude, and you ought to diversify your guests. So thank you, F. So my answer is guilty as charged. About only so far white dudes I've had for guests, but I would defend myself on 2 counts. One, I've been trying to get non-majorities on the show, but many cancel. And whether that's because something I do bad is up for debate, or if you prefer, up for unassailable conclusion, which is, it is because I do bad. And on the second count, one of my guests, while white and male, wasn't straight. Not that it's your business which of my guests it was, but you should be careful not to assume someone's straight just because they didn't mention it either way. But whether one single person who wasn't all 3 straight and white male is enough. Not that I'm making any assumptions about things I don't know about my other guests, is obviously no, and if Flight of the 50 Fancies lack of diversity makes me a bad person, then please, if you're not a straight white American English fluent able citizenship having mentally typical cis non-impoverished chronic disease lacking young urban/suburban debt-free male college educated whose 2 living parents are still married to each other and still love each other, then please for God's sake get interviewed by me, or let me be interviewed by you even, whichever power dynamic system you are more comfortable with. I don't want to be bad man, but I refuse to interview people against their will, and the only people who are willing to undergo an interview on quintuple F are white boys. So I've kind of forced myself to be bad man who is giving a voice to that cohort who for the past several hundred years has monopolized the world of voices. So to answer your question at long last, I just want to say that I'm so sorry. Thank you for sitting through that, Theodore. So tell me what else is you have happening at your movie theater, and also where is it? Well, it's basically in like like the cool neighborhood, like the cool new young neighborhood that like everybody's talking about, and like there's like all the magazines are like, this is like where all the cool kind of stuff is going on. And like, so I'm really excited about what's going to happen pretty soon. I managed to track down a copy of the coolest documentary I've ever seen. I saw it several years ago, and I basically thought it was the coolest thing. And I think I gave you a little copy of it. It's pretty much called Mystical Garden, the Throat Slit Crew versus the Fight Slow Nerds. And it's just about this, like the fighting. You do know about the sport fighting? Yeah, I know about, sure, I've heard a little bit about it. Well, this is pretty much like about how the different teams of fighting people who were in this city about 15 years ago. I think it was like 99 to 01 when like this movie was filmed, and it was released a little after that. And like fighting is just like pretty much gonna be an Olympic sport in short order, so hold on to your hats, everybody. And Mystical Garden documents the rise and fall of the underdog fighter team, and they really rose quickly and then they fell. So where is Mystical Garden? Well, Mystical Garden is in a sub basement of one of the cool bars. And like, so you have a basement where you're not allowed to go, but then under the stairs of the basement you find a hatch, and like that's the true underground. And like, and who goes to the Mystical Garden? Well, pretty much who you'd expect, like psychics and vampires and pretty much anybody of the tomb, kinds of people like that, but also just like really super cool people, like mortals who are able to find that kind of thing while it's still around and not like in a documentary. And I just wanted to celebrate the fact that I finally managed to track down Mystical Garden. And then the subtitle is The Throat Slit Crew versus the Fight Slow Nerds. I can't believe. And we're going to be playing that basically on repeat for the next day, starting Tuesday and ending Wednesday night. And it'll be really cool. And we have some of the surviving members of the Throat Slit Crew who managed to wrestle away. I don't know how they did it, but they wrestled away the citywide fighting championship from the Fight Slow Nerds. Within a matter of minutes, they murdered like every single one of them, and we have it on the documentary, and you can see it over and over again if you choose to come to my movie theater. Sorry about this other interruption, Theodore, but I just have to let me fulfill my contractual duties to Healthy Boy brand mushroom flavored soy sauce. I got a letter, so I have to say it. And I know Healthy Boy is going to get mad at me because I'm not supposed to read this stuff. So I'm in a bind. I got a letter from Stefan Aneker, and it says, "Dear Peter, I know you're not supposed to do this anymore, but could you please read the last 3 texts from the Vadavidhi of Vasubandhu, which I've put here. They're the last ones, so you'll never hear from me again. You don't have to kick me around anymore like Nixon. So just please, I hope I'm not being too. I hope it's not wrong of me to take liberties by just totally adding the last 3 texts of the Vadavidhi in my plea with you. So thanks a lot, Stefan Aneker. And the answer to your question, Stefan, yes. And this is what it says. The contradictory includes spurious replies based on not having arisen on eternality, etc. A reply made on the grounds of not having arisen occurs when one assumes that before its coming into existence the justification cannot have existed, and consequently the demonstrandum also cannot exist. For example, when it is being argued that sounds of speech are non-eternal because they have arisen through an effort, the maker of such a spurious reply might say, quote, "If it is non-eternal because it has arisen due to an effort, then prior to its arising it has not arisen due to an effort, and consequently it is eternal." To this it may be replied, unquote. To this it may be replied, before its arising the sound does not exist, and to maintain that it does not exist and is eternal is a contradiction, because non-existence and eternality cannot coexist. Thus this reply is contradictory. The same reply is also reversed on grounds of resting on a conjecture, for the adversary is saying, quote, "Since before the arising of the sound its state of arising immediately upon an effort does not exist, it follows that it has not arisen due to an effort, and thus is eternal because of its state of not arising immediately upon an effort." Unquote. To this it may be replied as follows. There is no certainty that something is eternal because of its state of not arising immediately upon an effort, for there are three possibilities here. Some things are eternal, like space, etc., and some things are non-eternal, such as flashes of lightning, etc., and some other things do not exist, like a sky flower, etc. Thus this reply is reversed. When one argues from an object's invariable association with non-eternality to eternality, then we have a spurious reply based on eternality. In this case, the adversary replies to the assertion that sounds of speech are non-eternal as follows. Quote, "In that case, sounds of speech are eternal because they are eternally connected with non-eternality, and its unchanging nature is thus eternal." Unquote. To this it may be replied as follows. This is a contradiction. And why is this? Because something non-eternal is being called eternal. Thus this reply is contradictory. The end. So that was the Vadavidhi. Thanks so much, Stefan Anaker. That was totally not an abuse of the policy that I've instituted and have no control over. Thanks for hanging in there, Mr. Roosevelt. I don't care. That, didn't bother me that you did that. I can't really understand why you seem super sensitive about the Nielsen ratings. Do you have any idea what the Nielsen rating that my movie theater gets is? It's a number so low it doesn't have a name. So you're talking to the wrong guy if you want to find someone who actually gives a damn what who's listening right now. I mean, my movie theater is a monoplex. Do you know what that means? There's only one screen. And that means I can fit maybe 50 people in my movie theater hall, which by the way doesn't even have chairs. It's cuz people need to stand up a lot and walk over to the ashtrays which are on the walls and in the back of the movie theater, because basically everybody smokes at my movie theater, and it's because they're all beatnik kind of people. Oh yeah, so was that your movie theater was under in a sub basement or something? Was that it? That's pretty cool. No. Were you even listening right now? Because that's where Mystical Garden is. Listen, here's the deal. I have a movie theater that's playing a documentary about a fighting area in a sub basement in a bar in this city that you are in right now. My movie theater is not Mystical Garden. I know that's such a nuanced point, Peter, but that's just the way things are going to have to be. You're just going to need to understand what I'm telling you right now. Can you understand that to me? Yeah, you don't have to yell. I'm sorry that I got mixed up for a second. Your movie sounds cool. That movie you made sounds pretty cool. I didn't make the movie. It was totally directed by someone who is no longer among us. She's not dead. She moved to Canada, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to start a cool dude movie theater in Mount Royal, if you know what I mean. But I couldn't. I had to settle for this crummy town. But there are enough Bulgarian film enthusiasts here to line my pockets with gold and dollars. That is dollars, if you know what those are. Alright, and I just wanted to say, if you want to come to my movie theater, it is a smoking facility. It's one of the only places you can find where you kind of have to smoke, because there's so much secondhand smoke that you'll go out addicted to nicotine, which is fine with me. I don't care as long as you pay me my dollars. And I know you said this isn't an advertising kind of show. No, it's not. Good night.